What's going on, YouTube? Thanks for clicking in to the Abnormal Truth. I appreciate it. Um, I am going to talk about dogmen tonight. I am a generalist, and as far as the supernatural goes, I try to look at everything. All of that stuff is interesting to me, but especially in the last couple of years, dogmen have. I'm just fascinated by dogman. I have not had an encounter, but I've had encounter with other beings, and was in that field, the alien UFO field, for a couple of decades. And there's a lot of similarities when you talk about listening to witnesses. And anyway, I don't want to go off on that topic, but I just wanted to make a video about my conclusions after a couple of years of researching Dogman. I have interviewed the Venomous Fringe and I've interviewed Vic Kundiff from Dogman Encounters. If you are wanting to know more about this subject, look at both of those channels. I will try to remember to put the description, links in the description, and I just make myself a little note there about that. Anyway, Dogman Encounters has pretty much only encounters. You get to hear from almost 300 people now about their encounters with Dogman. The Venomous Fringe will give you a lot of information if you really want to delve into it because he's mostly interviewing researchers, and he's got a great channel too. So you should check out both of those. Anyway, just to let you know, I don't know if I've ever said this on pretty much any of my videos. I've looked into the supernatural for 38 years now. And after a while, after talking to so many people about their different encounters from this and that, Dogman's the same way. Out of all the Dogman encounter videos I've watched, which is over 200 of them, I've watched a lot of them. I think he's up to 260 or 270 or something now. You can just tell that this many people are not lying because why would they lie? And to tell you the truth, there may be two or three that I've heard from Dogman Encounters that I'm like, I don't know if this person's really telling the truth. But you could tell they definitely, it wasn't like 100%. I was just suspicious on two or three of them, for sure. But all the others, and because you're always going to have somebody doing something, you know what I mean? A good liar out there that wants to be on a YouTube channel or something, just how people are. But I'm telling you, all the other people on Dogman Encounters, they're telling the truth. I could just tell. There's just, they would have to be darn good liars to talk that long about their Dogman encounter and for me not to smell anything fishy. And you've got to think these people, none of them that I'm aware, very few, unless they consider themselves a researcher or something. None of those people are writing a book or trying to do a movie deal. None that I'm aware of. And if there are one or two doing that, then there's all those other people that are not doing that. They call Vic to get to talk to somebody about their encounter because a lot of people don't have anybody to talk to about these things. That's why I even started this channel, was just to vent or to feel like I was talking to somebody, maybe, get some ideas and information from the comments people made on the video on my videos. You should really call Vic if you need to talk to somebody about your Dogman encounters, even if it happened a long time ago. I mean, it can mess people up. It's that bad. While I'm on that subject, I just want to say while these might be some of my last videos I ever do on this channel, don't, because I feel like we won't be able to talk like this for very much longer. This channel could be shut down at any moment. So can all the other truthers of whatever subjects they're into. The next couple of generations really won't know what's going on because we're not really shutting any of this down, and a lot of people are speaking truth, but that's not going to matter. It's going to keep happening, and the people who are researching what the truth actually is are no longer going to be able to put their findings out there for people to try to wake people up. So the people that are awake now, um, that's all we got, because the next generation and onwards, they will only be fed the mainstream news. And we had a good 10-year run. It was like the internet was the wild, wild west, there for the first 10 years. Anyway, I just brought all that up because I'm probably not going to do too many more videos, but the videos I do are going to be talking about things I might not have ever talked about before, but I feel like I need to get off my chest so I can at least say I talked about them while I had the chance for anybody to listen. So anyway, I'm hoping the Venomous Friends and Dogman encounters don't ever uh, experience that. I would just hate to see those channels shut down. Anyway, if you've had an encounter, talk to Vic. Air your encounter on YouTube on his channel or the Venomous Fringe, because it really helps other people that have had encounters know that they're not alone. It helps put more information and more puzzle pieces together if you tell your encounters on somebody's channel that has a lot of subscribers. Um, and anyway, let's get back on why I believe dogmen are real. And I was talking earlier about how just from the years I've had of talking to friends and stuff about, hey, have you had anything strange happen in your life? And on chat programs I've been on for 5 or 6 years, just about alien abduction. This is the same. You can just tell there's not this many people from all around the world um, that are all. They're not all lying. Um, and Dogman's real. I mean, that's all there is to it. I've watched hundreds of Dogman Encounter videos. I'd sit down, full attention, and just listen to these people's encounters one by one. And Vic's great. He'll usually ask questions when they're pretty much done talking. And so you get to hear these people's encounters all the way through. He just lets them tell everything. He may ask a question in the middle of it every once in a while, which is fine. But he's not constantly interrupting you if you're telling your dogman encounter. It's just great. He's a trustworthy guy. I've talked to him personally. Uh, and another thing I would like to say is I would not want to meet a dogman. I will. If I just don't see how someone could listen to a dozen or more of Dogman encounters and actually want to go out looking for these things. If you find one, you're gonna change your mind on it. These things can mess you up mentally just by having an encounter with them. And it really depends on the situation. Somebody that has had a dog man knocking on their windows in their home and have had several encounters with them is a lot rougher on a human than somebody seeing one from 200 yards away, 300, 400 yards away, and could tell that it looked like a dog walking on 2 feet. That's bad enough. But depending on your encounter, they can actually mess with you and cause post traumatic distress syndrome, basically, I don't advise you going out hunting for Dogman. I wouldn't even go look for Bigfoot, but depending on your encounter there, I believe most Bigfoot sightings aren't that traumatic. These Dogmen are just not natural. You know, like I don't know if I want to go off into that, but if you see a Bigfoot, you can kind of rationalize it. Maybe he's a missing link, or you can kind of see how that might have happened. I don't believe in evolution, but a lot of people do, and you can put that in a peg somewhere. Maybe the peg is kind of tight, but you can rationalize that somehow. These dogmen, I believe to be supernatural. Um, and I'm just going to say it like it is. I'm not going to do too many more videos, probably. So uh, let me make my point on why I think the dogman is not only real, but in my opinion, there's some supernatural, biblical origin to this thing. And it's just my thesis after looking into it for a couple of years. I'm not an expert. I've just listened to a bunch of Dogman encounters and other researchers talk about it. I've never even interviewed anyone that's had an actual encounter. With that being said, these dogmen, not only do they look ferocious, and they're a monster. I mean, let's just put it like it is. That's a monster. A terrifying apex predator that, and unless you if you're in a squad of some some military guys with some military equipment, you're not going to stand a chance against this thing if it wants to get you. Most of the time, they do not attack people, but I guarantee you there are people that people that end up missing. Um, some of them were killed by dogman, and that's another good reason not to go look for. So stupid to go looking for dogman. Stupid. But anyway, I think these things are supernatural because not only I can get that these things would scare the heck out of you, but they seem to be projecting a fear, which I hope I'm going to make sense here. I haven't thought any of this out. I'm kind of ranting, but bear with me. Um, they also, I can get that their physical appearance would scare the crap out of somebody, but they're also projecting just a fear. They have this ominous presence that, and I think most people have been in the woods before and just been like, something's looking at me. You know what I mean? You get kind of creeped out and you have to leave the woods. They not only have that, but, and especially if you're looking them in the eyes and you're that close, but they also are reported to be able to do infrasound. Their growls and stuff like that can paralyze you. And I've heard that not in every encounter, but I don't know, 30% of the encounters I hear something of that effect. You might even soil yourself or use the bathroom in your pants. Okay, that happens a lot. Their eyes. So anyway, I just want to finish that point up. There is a supernatural component to these creatures because there's several things I look at that should not, no normal creature on the planet should have these abilities. For one, this thing is the ultimate predator, apex. It is the perfect killing machine. Their eyes, I've heard over and over and over again, are either this kind of amber yellow color or a red color. But what's interesting about that is people have said over and over again that they have their own, they're self illuminating. Because if you look at some animals in the woods and your car lights hit their eyes or whatever, they will have like a red color. It's almost like looking at reflectors. Well, these things have internally glowing eyes. And yes, I see how that might be in the realm of possibility. There's too many things going on with Dogman for this to be a natural creature. I'm just gonna say that. So the eyes are another clue, but also I'm not sure if this is 100%, but I've heard more than one witness, actually a lot, say that they kind of had a telepathic communication with the dogman. Whether it been their own voice in their head or they're just getting vibes of what this creature was trying to tell them. There's some sort of telepathy going on there with some of the encounters I've heard. So that's another one. That what are the odds that if you believe in evolution, which I don't, but if you believe in evolution, what are the odds that this dog man had everything that a creature could possibly want to survive? You know what I mean? It has all the freaking abilities that could evolve. That just doesn't compute. Something's wrong there. They were if you really think about it hard, one thing that keeps popping into my mind because I look at everything through a biblical lens is that the angels could come down and you could touch them just like Jesus when he resurrected. They could touch him. He ate. There's been angels that were in their spirit bodies, of course, down on earth, and they could look like humans. So I'm saying to me, it has some biblical origin. It was, what I wanted to say about the angels is they had a body. You could touch it. They weren't ethereal. You couldn't see through them. They probably just look like beautiful humans, and but they could blend in and look like anything they wanted to, really. But the instances I'm thinking about, they also ate and drank food. So angels aren't spirits like you would think of a ghost. They're way above that. And I won't get in on ghosts, but where I was linking that to Dogman is if they were a half breed of some sort between a fallen angel, there is scripture that talks about how the fallen angels not only mated with human females, and most of them became giants or Nephilim, however you want to say it. Those creatures are half breeds, and they're in a real body, but they had special abilities because they were half angel and half human. Well, in other parts of the Bible, you have, or scripture, I should say, all kinds of different scriptures. You have these half breeds, and then you have the tampering of DNA. And so it might have been the book of Enoch, I believe, first Enoch, that they messed with over 200 species of birds, animals, insects. They were genetically mutating and making uh, chimera or whatever you want to call them. And so you can't call everything a Nephilim or a Nephilim. That's specifically fallen angels mating with human women and giving birth to huge warriors and stuff. And some of them also had some special powers and intelligence and stuff like that. These beings were never meant to be. So, in a biblical view, that's what I think these things are. It's when the fallen angels tampered with, not only did they mate with human females, they tampered with the wildlife. And then what I find it strange is in Egypt, you also have a lot of their gods having animal heads, and that is probably more of falling angels taking whatever form they want. But I just can't express to you how much I think these things are supernatural. They have a supernatural component. I think the mistake a lot of researchers make is that just because these things aren't see-through, that they can't be supernatural because they're displaying, maybe it's sometimes subtle abilities, but they're there and they're talked about over and over again. Just because you know, to me, that's what they are. They're leftover from the fallen angels, kind of making animals. Maybe some of them somehow survived the flood. There were also Nephilim after the flood, and so really nobody's really sure how the second incursion, the second wave of the Nephilim came by after the earth was flooded. But to me, it's the only thing that makes sense because I know these things are supernatural. And let me try to remember anything else about why I might think they're supernatural. Another thing is you'll have witnesses. It seems like after you have one encounter, your chances of having another one go up greatly. And it's like somehow they know how to find you. Maybe they're just really good trackers, but if you listen to a lot of these encounters that have multiple sightings, they may see them around their home, but then they go 100 miles somewhere else a few years later, and they'll see another one somewhere. And it's I don't know. It just has that demonic tinge to these dogmen. I think they are uh, animals. They're not disappearing into the heavenly realm or anything. But I think they're still, if you think about some of the ancient myths, Hercules and all them, they were real people, but they had more abilities. You know what I'm saying? So you can be a supernatural creature without being opaque, and still having to live out in the woods and stuff because your whole species, the origin of your species, um, was unnatural and was never meant to be on the earth. And so, if my theory's correct, the dogmen might even roam the earth as demons after they die because they don't get into heaven if they were not designed by the Creator. Now, I'm trying not to get all biblical on you, but I just have to say all this because aliens and all these different cryptids, they never made any sense to me until I looked at it through a biblical lens. It took me like 30 something years to actually start looking at all these supernatural beings and stuff. It took me that long, but once I looked into the biblical truth of it all fell together and everything makes sense. Now, I'm 90%, 95% sure of myself on my theory about these dogmen. And since I'm thinking that way, it would also pertain to Bigfoot. But anyway, let me see if I can remember anything else that these dogmen seem to have all these abilities. You got to think to yourself, what would have all these abilities? And it's like I might even go as far to say that I know that fallen angels can shapeshift into anything they want, and even the UFOs, a lot of them, if they're not military or this and that, they're not man-made. A lot of these UFOs are fallen angels. Ezekiel, read Ezekiel, just start reading Ezekiel in the Bible. God came down in a craft one time, which doesn't mean he's an ancient alien. It's just they have these vehicles, or they can transform into them. It's not abundantly clear, but if you ever seen one of those morphing UFO videos, have been there's a lot of them, especially in the last 10 years. You know, it's before I was looking at everything through a biblical lens. I was like, what kind of technology is that where the thing looks like it can't keep its shape? But trust me, guys, the Bible definitely says they can take different forms, and they have. The Satan can appear as an angel of light is one example I can think off the top of my head. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up soon. I'm just trying to remember anything else. I'm trying to get my point across after doing just a couple of years of research. I'm not an expert, but I guess the main point I want to tell everybody, if you're listening to these encounters, if you're researching, think about those little things and add them up. I mean, what kind of um, dog evolves like that, that has glowing eyes, internally illuminated eyes. They have the perfect build to run fast. It's a killing machine. They can run fast. They can crawl on the ground and do a spider crawl. They can jump amazingly far. They can climb trees. These things have every advantage that you could ever want uh, as an animal. And if the infrasound things are true, and if the telepathic abilities, you don't often hear them actually speaking to, like true telepathy, like full blown telepathy. We're like, hi, my name's so so. It's just that a lot of witnesses are getting certain feelings from these creatures, like, you need to leave, or hey, I'm here, you're going to see me, I live in the area. You just got to search out all those encounters, and you'll come across them saying that. Um, these things can project fear, and I believe, from what I'm hearing, it's not just their physical appearance, would be the best way I could say that. Just add all of those things up and ask yourself if anything else has really evolved like that on the planet. And I hate to call it evolution. To me, it's God's, he's the one that made everything. I don't believe in evolution, but that's the easiest way I can describe it. Because either way, it doesn't make sense unless these things are half breeds at the least. I don't believe dogmen are fallen angels, as I can believe that some of the encounters would be, because if you could transform anything you wanted to, and you were kind of I hate to say it, I guess, but evil fallen angel that's going to be doomed in the future, that would be the perfect thing to shapeshift into. Or let's just say, if you're a shapeshifter, that would be the perfect thing to shapeshift into. But these all dogmen sightings, I don't believe are fallen angels, because you hear a lot of them running around with like coyotes and stuff like that. It does really seem like these things are living in nature, you know. But I'm just saying, some of these could be a fallen angel could look like that and be that if it wanted to, and it would be a really good choice if you wanted to survive or kill anything, or just roam the world, the earth. You know what I mean? Perfect creature to roam around in and do anything you want to, basically. So, guys, think about that, because this has been on my mind for a while, and I was finally um, just had to put this video out just to put my 2 cents, if that, into the pot here on what I think these things are, because I think some of your major questions are, if you look into the Dogmen or if you've had an encounter, or what are these things? Like, what actually are they? Like, how did this end up on the earth? Because people who see it, it's hard to click. It's like, this, am I really looking at a 7, 8 foot tall wolf-like being that's walking upright on 2 legs and is the scariest thing I've ever seen? That's just not natural. Bigfoot, I could kind of see being out there as a missing link or something of the sort, but I really think somehow they were genetically created a long time ago. And so, what do you guys think? If you want to put out some reasons why you think it's just a natural creature, put it in the comments. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you that you don't have to be a ghost, see through looking entity to actually be supernatural. These things are, half in and half out. They're half. They could be half fallen angel, or have some kind of fallen angel DNA in them, or just straight up genetically engineered by them. I don't believe God put them on the earth, and just like the Nephilim or Nephilim, he did not design them. Therefore, they'll never go to heaven no matter what they do, because it's just not compatible. Their souls are not created by God and not compatible, is the best way I can say it. And so, yes, I think they roam around and live in the woods or whatever swamps or whatever areas they want to live in. But I just like people out there to know that that's why I think a lot of researchers don't think that they're supernatural. But look at all those abilities they have, guys. They're they've got they're just apex in every way. It's incredible. They're just ultimate apex predator slash monster. Anyway, guys, I think I'm going to end the video here, and I appreciate you guys for watching. I'm probably going to put out a few more videos here pretty soon, and that kind of may do it for my channel. And you never know. I'm sure that all these channels will be shut down, and you will get to hear different people's thoughts and opinions on the truth that they're seeking. So I just had to put that out there. Anyway, guys, hopefully I'll see you soon in another video. I've got a few videos I definitely want to make, and so don't forget to comment and like and subscribe if you want. And I appreciate you guys for listening. I shall see you next time.